Alright, so we have a word problem. They do give us the equation, which does make it a little bit nicer. You can model the time t in seconds an object takes to reach the ground, falling from a height of h in meters by this square root function. The value of g, which is gravity, is 9.81 meters per second squared. But you guys will probably use that a lot in physics whenever you take that class. So all that tells you is you can plug 9.81 in for g. So really the function is t of h equals the square root of 2h over 9.81. So now you only have one variable, h. Alright, use a graphing calculator to determine from what height an object falls if it takes 7 seconds to reach the ground. So this is the time, which is 7. So you're not plugging 7 in for h. You're actually going to plug in 7 for t, like your t equation. So if you're using the graphing calculator, you're actually going to do two equations. You're going to do the one they gave you, and then you're also going to do one where it equals 7. So this will go into your y1 in your calculator, and this will go into our y2. So we'll have two equations typed in, and then we'll graph them, and we'll see where they intersect. So, square root of 2x divided by 9.81. We have to use x in the calculator, and 7. Now, our graph, you probably will have to adjust our window, because we most likely will not be able to see this pretty picture, but let's see, zoom 6. So I can see the square root function is like slowly increasing, right? But I need to find out when it hits up here. So if I'm going to adjust my window, let's drop that down. Which value am I changing? The x max or the y max? To be able to see further. The x, very good. So I need to see further on the x-axis, so press window. We'll go to the x max this time. I have no idea what to press. Let's just type in 50 for x max and press graph. That's not nearly enough. So I need to go back, window. Let's change it to, I don't know, let's go 500 because I don't want to have to come back to this screen. Hit graph, and that works. So now I can see this nice picture, and I'm looking for the intersection of those curves. Who remembers how to get the intersection? Caleb? Second trace. Intersect. Remember, it asks you a couple questions. It says first curve. It doesn't matter what curve you're on. Just hit enter. It'll jump to the other curve. Hit enter. And then go guess as close as you can to the intersection point. And we will get approximately 240 meters. The time is 7. So that's our answer. So if it is falling from a height of 240 meters, it will take 7 seconds to hit the ground. Now, off to the side, I'm also going to show you how you can do this algebraically. Some of you will not like adjusting the window and you find the graphing calculator to be troublesome. So the other way that you can do this is you can actually plug in 7 for t. So you have 7 equals the square root of 2h over 9.81. And you would solve it using inverse operations for h. So you'd have to undo a square root by squaring both sides. So we'll have 49 equals 2h over 9.81. And then you guys know how to solve from there. Multiply by 9.81 on both sides. And we'll get 480.69. And then lastly, divide by 2. So a lot of you may prefer to do it this way because there's a lot of button pressing involved, but I do like you to know how to do it both ways. Now the next one says, use your graphing calculator to determine the height when it takes 3.5 seconds. So I'm going to do the same equation. y1 is going to be the equation we had. y2 this time is going to be 3.5. So I can just go back and edit my y2, so leave y1 as is, change my y2 to 3.5, and let's just press graph and hope that we can see the picture still. No, we can't. So just find that intersection, first curve, second curve, and this time I guess I have to back it up a little. Bless you. And we should get 60, approximately 60 meters. Part C asks us, how did the distances compare? So when you compare these two numbers, what is the relationship between those? Sam?
It takes 4 times as long for the first one.
Yes. I should say the distance is 4 times as long instead of time, but the distance, or is this height? I should say height. It's 4 times as long. You'll notice that the time itself was only like 2 times larger, 3.5 times 2 is 7, but the height was actually 4 times as long. And that's because it's a square root function or a squared function, so you'd actually square the change in time. So it's twice as long, 2 squared is 4, so that's why it's 4 times as high. See if you guys can try the next one on your own, number 10. You can use your graphing calculator, or if you prefer, you can do it algebraically. This one, V is, or no, we were solving for, that was our V. So we're solving for kinetic energy, which is in joules. So again, if you want to jot down in your notes, I changed the X max to be, I think, 10,000. All right. Last 2 questions ask us to rewrite a square root function to make it easier to graph using transformations. Remember, transformations are your stretch, your shrink, your shift, or your reflection. Now, the reason you can't tell me right now what the transformations are is that we don't actually have, we have this little number in front of the x, which is not a stretch or a shrink. The stretch or the shrink, you'll remember, is outside the square root function. Okay, so what we can do is we can actually factor underneath the radical. We're going to factor out a GCF of 9. And then you can kind of take the square root of 9 and bring it out front. Square root of 9 is 3, so this would be 3 square root of x plus 2. Now describe the graph. So the 3 outside would tell me that it's a stretch of 3. Technically a vertical stretch. And then what does the plus 2 tell me? Is that up 2, down 2, left 2, or right 2? Sam?
Left 2.
It is left 2. Perfect. All right, one more on the next page for you guys to try. And then I do have some closures. You guys are going to work with partners to complete those multiple choice problems. Stretch of 2. Again, that was taking out a GCF of 8. Remember, this is a cube root this time. So the cube root of 8 is just 2, positive 2. And 3 right and up 3. All right, closure. You guys can go ahead and get with a friend. If you'd like to work alone, you can. I want you guys to complete the multiple choice questions. And then when you're finished, come up and show me your answers. And if you guys are correct, you guys can work on the homework for the rest of class.